Thus, commuters who use the heavily trafficked Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway will soon experience relief as the Ogun state government hastens the reconstruction of the road. Taking over the reconstruction of the road, which has been in deplorable condition for over a decade, the Ogun state government is making significant progress. The 81.6-kilometer expressway spanning 4 local council areas in Ogun State and 1 local council in Lagos State is a major project with numerous benefits for its users. Upon completion, the expressway will reduce travel time, enhance safety, and improve the overall transportation network in the state. This, in turn, will facilitate the movement of goods and people, potentially boosting trade, commerce, and industrial activities in both Ogun and Lagos State. But joining us to discuss developments on this project is the Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications to Ogun State Governor, Dari Udufor. Good morning. Good morning. It's good to have you join us.
It's a pleasure being here this morning.
Great. The last time we spoke, we were talking about the governor, deciding to take up this responsibility, even though it's meant to be a federal government road.
Exactly.
And we talked about how the government is insistent at ensuring that this kicks off as quickly as possible and that even the project ends as much as possible. I think 18 months.
18 months.
Yes. So how far have we come?
Thank you very much. Immediately after the flag off, I was here to report back to you that, as promised, our determined Governor, Prince Abiodun, finally got the nod of the federal government, and the project has been, commenced. And I told you that Cranborg Engineering is working on it, and the governor gave a mandate of 18 months to deliver on that road. And I can tell you today, as your crew saw for themselves, the work is, speeding on. And we are very optimistic that it will be delivered in good time. Because the construction company handling it is very optimistic. The government is giving all necessary support. And the people are cooperating. And like the governor explained, that he is determined to ensure that this happens within stipulated time. So the work is not going to be one where you start from one end and we'll be waiting for you to move gradually to the other end. He directed, and then at the flag of that, this job should be divided into 4.
Oh, yeah.
We have, as I speak with you, 4 gangs or 4 teams of construction workers doing the same thing in 4 places.
At the same time? At
the same time. Like you said, it cuts across a number of local governments, about 4 or 5. So from the Songo end, you have people working. On the Pakpa Lanto end, people are working. The Tory axis, another team is working, and then the Abeokuta end. The 5th gang is saddled with ensuring that the other lane, where work is yet to start, is motorable. So that vehicles going and coming from Abeokuta towards Lagos and other parts of the country ply that other half, while work continues here. And then they finish here, they move there, and we open this for traffic. So at the rates at which they are working, and with the style, the approach towards this construction, we are very optimistic that in no time, that road will be delivered. In no time.
So from what we're seeing, that's part of it that we had seen. And then, some of the heavy-duty machines. Day in, day
out, in spite of the weather.
Right.
In spite of the weather.
That's critical to mention.
Ongoing. Because we can't help
the rain season.
The rain will come. And so I think we all will factor all this into it. But by and large, so far, work has not been disturbed much by the weather. And we are still optimistic that we will deliver on this promise to the people.
Before 18 months?
Within 18 months.
Okay.
Within 18 months.
Of course, we'll be back within that 18 months.
I'll be back here to tell you now. You have your road.
It's ready. But talk to us about the potential of that road. 2 weeks ago, the Lagos State government were also there to inspect their own, part. Their
own portion, with the minister too, and the federal,
of course, controller of works. Yes, we're present on that road. How is the Ogun State and Lagos State government collaborating to ensure
a lot of collaboration
that this comes out well?
A lot of collaboration that dates years back, even when they struggled to get the federal government to pay attention to that road, Lagos, Ogun collaborated, writing several letters together, making a lot of appeals together, like my governor explained during the flag off and even before. A lot of efforts during the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari by these two states to get that road attended to by federal government. Later on, they both started seeking release of the road for these states, Lagos, Ogun, to handle. And as we speak now, because Ogun is speeding up work on its own end, Lagos is not resting on its ways, and that's why you see visits upon visits and instructions of. So it's a road that is very important, not just to Ogun State or Lagos State, not even just the Southwest, but the entire country.
Absolutely.
Because it is the second busiest road in the country, just after Lagos-Ibadan. Because if you are not flying Lagos-Ibadan and you want to leave Lagos and go to any part of this country, then you are on Lagos-Abeokuta. And this is a road that links several parts of the country together. And it's a road that runs through a very busy corridor. You talk about industry or you talk about agriculture, right, and other business endeavors. It's a very busy, it's a road that runs through a very busy corridor. So it's a road that anybody who is forward-thinking and who desires growth in any part of the country will be concerned about. And that's why my principal, Prince Dr. Abiodun, is not resting in his determination to ensure that that road is in the right state.
So in talking about partnership between Lagos and the Ogun State, does that also involve resources for this?
Well, don't forget that it's a federal road, right, taken over by Ogun State. Let me speak from my end. So, and it's a road that runs through the two states too. So while Lagos' involvement will be to take care of their end, Ogun is concentrating on ensuring that our own part of the road is in the best state of, and is in the best state. And we have the support of the federal government on this, with the release and other specifications. So resources-wise, Ogun State is ready and determined to ensure that we give you the very best when that road is coming.
Okay, so perhaps we do not know if Lagos State is also contributing to, well, you pointed out that they are handling their own end.
Ogun is completely handling our end of it. Ogun
is handling its own end. But one thing she mentioned that I would like for you to expatiate, which has to do with the potential of the road. Would like for you to speak to that. Because
like I said earlier, I spoke about the importance of that road. And you cannot overemphasize that. Because even for many of the things we are doing in Ogun State, our infrastructural efforts, our developmental efforts, our industrialization efforts, that road is key. Because it's a road that, if you look at it, coming from Lagos, through Abeokuta, and through other parts of the state. And that, like I said, is a corridor that carries a lot of importance for us.
Absolutely. Now, does that mean that the other construction work, perhaps within the state, are also getting the needed attention, or those ones have been abandoned?
Like you recall that Mr. Governor made it very clear that in spite of the road being a federal road, the state is taking it on. It is obviously going to require a lot of resources.
Absolutely.
But that, he said, and he's keeping that promise, will not affect other efforts. Because of what rule use will be the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway in very beautiful state, and other roads in the state are in bad state.
No, because of the resources and how...
No, but then, a lot of other work. For example, let's look at the Agbara-Lusada road. I can tell you now that that road has received so much attention that successfully we have linked that road to the Lagos-Badagry Expressway. Successfully. And this is a road that, the construction was ongoing before we started Lagos-Abeokuta. And the speed at which it's also moving, you will be impressed when you go there. And you go to other parts of the state. Recently, too, following serious concerns about the Shagamu-Ijobo, Benin Expressway. The government went there and agitated that the federal government should go. And as we speak, a lot of reconstruction efforts are on that road to put it in the right state.
Handled by the federal government?
Yes, the federal government, okay. With the support of the state government.
Okay.
Then you go to Oru. There is the Liberty Road. Oru is in Ijebu North. That road to construction is ongoing. As I speak with you, construction is kicking up from the Ikperu end to Shakpade, Ikperu, the Shakpade, on that road that runs from Shagamu through Ikperu, to go and link Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway. Construction is ongoing. In several, the Ajuwon, Alagbole Akute Road, ask the people. And that's why, if you open the phone line this morning now, all will receive will be praises.
Unfortunately, we do not have phone lines.
We do not have that.
You know that.
Then you go to E42, the Toyingiwa Cruise Road, construction. I can go on and on and on across the state. None of this construction is stopping. Rather, we are starting new ones.
It's great that
across the state.
It's great that construction is ongoing. I mean, we should also be talking about post-completion to ensure maintenance, longevity, and all that. You've also confirmed that the Lagos State and Ogun State government are working independently in pulling resources in maintaining their own section of the road. But what are the structural, plans in place to ensure that post-completion, these roads are maintained?
Let me share this with you. It is a firm belief and conviction of my principal, Prince Abiodun, that if we manage our roads well after completion, we will not have the road deficit we have in Ogun today. So with that conviction, if you come across the state, you will see that we are not waiting for roads to get into terrible, because roads, like every other thing, will depreciate. So the rate at which we are ensuring that we don't have our roads in terrible state, once we notice any form of depreciation, we move in to ensure that it's taken care of. The Ministry of Works and other agencies are seeing to that. And it's a new phase in Ogun State to ensure that we don't go back to this deficit we are trying to. Because if we have managed roads well before the coming of this administration, like this administration is doing now, we won't have this old road going bad to deal with. Perhaps we'll pay more attention to opening up new roads. So I can assure you that it is one great concern that is already be attended to. And as we deliver these new roads, there are plans to ensure that they don't depreciate and they don't fall into deplorable state. So much so that we'll have them becoming problems again. No, that I can tell you. All
right, let's quickly go on a break. When we return, we'll continue our conversation here. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Before we went on the break, we were speaking with the Ogun State SSA to the governor on public communications, and Ogun State governor rather, and he has been speaking with us about the reconstruction project that the state governor or the state government has been embarking on for some time now. And you mentioned that despite the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway that is ongoing, other roads within the state are getting the needed attention.
We're opening up new ones.
And that is where my next question is, the new ones that are being opened up, because these are capital-intensive projects. And one is wondering how the government is able to handle all of this at once, and which of these roads are being opened up as it is.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, as we speak, we are running what we call the 100 Roads Project, which is spread across the state. So you have the 20 local governments getting, various number of roads, 5, 4, and all that. And these roads includes roads, major roads, and inner roads. So, like I said earlier, we have so many of such roads that are critical to what is being done in Ogun State. I may not be able to begin to give you names one by one, but across the state, as we speak, apart from these ones I have read out to you that were ongoing and we're still working on them, new ones are being picked to receive attention within the state capital, in Ogun West, in Ogun East, in Ogun Central, in Ijebu, and in Shagamu, in Ilaro, in Abeokuta. What we have going for this administration is the ability to spread development, not concentrating it in just one area. And that's why when people talk about various roads needing attention, we don't take offense. Rather, we see it as their own responsibility. Call our attention to that. And that, as I speak with you, some of the roads that people have been raising in the past are part of the ones that will be picked across the local government. And as work progresses, we come here, we tell you this is the level of work in each area. This is when we started. This is where we are trying to take it to, and all that. And at the same time, a lot of new roads are also being commissioned. More will still be commissioned because Ogun State needs roads. And the governor is determined to give as much. Then talking about how it is being funded, they say you should understand the fact that when you have a man who understands what is to be done, and he has planned how to do it in office, we'll keep asking this kind of question as journalists. Yeah, you are doing so much at the same time. How are you funding it? One thing you must also remember is that the governor is talking about industrialization in Lagos State. And he knows that there will be no industrialization without infrastructural development. So he has been able to take the state in the area of IGR from how he met it to a very enviable height. And that's why people tell you today that in the country, when it comes to IGR, Ogun ranks very high. Contrary to what it used to be. Very high, and we have serious appreciation.
Do we have a figure and the ranking?
Ogun is just within the first 5 now. Within the first 5, as we speak. And I may not be able to give you figures, but you cannot, so much so that we are winning awards for this from very, very reputable organizations. Within and outside the country. And you also talk about ease of doing business, which of course is one avenue of increasing your IGR. Ogun State ranks very high. When you talk about ease of owning lands, you know, when you make such things easy, you attract. Ogun is the place of destination for investors in Nigeria as we speak. When you attract investors, both local and foreign, IGR will improve. And the more money, sometimes last year, while celebrating his victory at the Supreme Court, it was the governor during a church service that announced to the people of Ogun State, we now have more money from IGR. So therefore, expect more projects and more infrastructure from my administration. He worked on improving the revenue base of the state. And Ogun State is one place where we come on here to tell you about increase in IGR every time. And you won't hear about double taxation, multi-taxation, over-taxation. You can't hear that from our state. Really? So the people are not under any form of pressure or tax burden. Yet, the governor has found a way of making more money for the state. That's more money in the purse of the government, more infrastructure, more development, more amenities, and better welfare for the people of Ogun State.
Well, I believe what you are saying is that, Ogun has, increased to an extent. I want to believe that when you bring a resident of Ogun State today, you should be able to, allude to some of these claims that you have made. But let's talk about how the governor is also looking to ensure that these roads are completed. I want to believe that that is part of the concerns, especially for those that may be watching us, that some of these roads are not, abandoned afterwards. What's the governor doing to ensure that beyond even his tenure, to ensure that structures are put in place to ensure, continuity, especially when you consider the growing population of Ogun State? You mentioned earlier that, well, to an extent, Ogun is more like an extension of Lagos State.
Well,
he will not agree.
Ogun State is an entity, is a state on its own that borders Lagos, and as such shares a lot of affinity with Lagos. A lot of advantages from being beside Lagos, and a lot of burdens too, coming from being beside Lagos. So that's understanding. Talking about how to ensure continuity and all that, like I said earlier, the governor, this administration has put in place a lot of approaches that will ensure that, one, when completed, these roads are maintained to ensure they do not go back to deplorable states by this administration. And then, how do you ensure continuity after you? You cannot interfere in government after you, but you can put in place structures such that if the government coming continues with those structures, then we have that exactly what is being done. Putting in place, okay, this is how we are able to maintain these roads. This is how we are able to manage the situation. And it becomes a system within the structure, saddled with that responsibility. It's a government. It's not a private business. And so once you put such in place, you are taking care of today and tomorrow, believing that government will continue that. And talking about leaving some of these projects uncompleted, I don't see that happening.
That's not a concern.
It is not a concern because you see Prince Abeokuta going to flag off projects and setting timelines. So it's always a plus or minus thing when he sets such timeline for him. He wants it at that time. And that's why you see many of the projects he has delivered on.
Well, some Nigerians will tell you that this is not the first time we hear people in power set timelines for projects. But
you agree with me that Ogun State has set timelines. Prince Abeokuta, the governor, has set timelines several times and has delivered. Examples abound. What we are saying is he has not embarked on any white elephant project or bogus projects just for the purpose of showing off. If you look at the projects he has embarked on, all they are set for certain targets. And these roads are key to other things he is doing across the state. So the success, and many of these he sees as legacy projects that he wants to deliver on before he leaves office. Or as at the time he will be leaving. So I don't think we'll have issues of
abandoned project.
No. That will not happen intentionally. It won't.
I like the caveat, intentionally. I heard that.
No, it won't happen intentionally.
Right.
We are not gods anyway. You understand that? Absolutely. But I can tell you, it will not happen intentionally. Okay. He will deliver on all projects just like he has been doing. And then there are so many other things that are key.
Beyond roads, because that's my next question.
Recently, the governor announced 77,000 naira as our own minimum wage. That's well ahead of what the federal government has. At the time we announced, we were setting a new national standard.
Like Lagos, for instance.
About a week ago, when we announced 77,000 naira minimum wage, it was a national standard. So perhaps after that, we encouraged.
You're intentionally avoiding what I said. There are other states who are paying 85,000.
Who got encouraged by what Ogun State did and announced more. That's beautiful. So? We appreciate them.
You think they were
And we thank them for taking the cue. Yes, we appreciate them. And we thank them for taking the cue.
Ogun State perhaps, push that amount to perhaps something
before
100,000 and all of that?
Before we announced, the highest you had was 71, 72. And we went to 77. So if you now say 77, somebody say 85. You are still not mad there. What we added.
Of course, the revenue increase. 8,000 naira is something.
It's a lot. Just like our additional 7,000 naira is a huge one. Yeah. So is it on a lighter mode? It's a good thing when government puts smiles on the face of the people. So Ogun State, under Prince Abeokuta, showed determination. While we talk about infrastructure, while we are determined to make the state a better place in the area of amenities and all that, the people too must be well fed. The people too must have money in their pocket. And that's why the government said, no, we don't forget that he announced earlier on that we will not be number 2 to any state when it comes to the issue of welfare of workers. So he made that, he made good that promise. When announced 77,000 naira.
But right now,
our workers are happy.
Number 2.
Well, we are not number 2 to anybody. Announcing such huge amount first. So we are not number 2.
Announcing first is not the issue.
But then you look at 77 personally and you are proud that in spite of why some people are still arguing about the 70, a state came out and said, look, we'll give you 77.
Several states have even come out. But
I mean, it should pay more, especially when you look at the fact that you said that the revenue is increasing.
That's why you are seeing
from 50 billion.
And we just showed that in 77,000.
I just got the figure from 50 billion to 150 billion as of 2020.
So, of course, he can afford.
He can afford 100,000 naira.
No, well, as the man in charge, as a man who he knows where the shoe pinches and all that. As a man who has to take decisions, he sat down and said, no, 70,000, we can do better. Federal government said 70,000. It's a matter of this is the benchmark. And he could have just said 70,000. But he said, no. Let's check our books. Oh, we can still afford some more. Let's put it at this high. And that high is beautiful. That high is such that we became an example to other states who realized that, they just cannot do less. Yeah, and if you look at the income, even talking about your fact-checking and getting the figures, you can go ahead and get the income and the increase of these other states you talk about and compare it, then you realize that Ogun has done beautifully well. And our governor has shown so much care and interest in welfare. Sincerely, it was a fulfillment of his desire to see the workers smile.
All right.
And I tell you, given the opportunity, even during this tenure, is one governor who will do more.
Right. I believe the people who want him to do more, much more. They're expecting much more if he has been able to do all that you have said.
Yeah, the area of roads and
all of that.
People are happy. They want Ogun State to be developed.
The cost of living would be another thing that they hope that he will address.
And transportation.
And transportation as well. But we have to leave the conversation here. Dario Dufowoko, SSA, on public communications.
I came in hearing you talk about CNG. You didn't mention Ogun being the first to start that.
Now you have mentioned it. So
yes.
Thank you, Dario Dufowoko, for your time.
It's a pleasure.
We're still ahead.